Ready to make some awesome, super easy milk? I gotcha. So first off, let's talk about this. I'm going to be using the MioMat milk maker today, which I'm really kind of liking. You guys, if you're interested in milk makers, make sure to go to healthyslowcooking.com and look where I'm reviewing and comparing all of these different milk makers to find the one that works perfectly for you. Can you make this in a blender? I know that's the first question. Of course you can. Why am I not? Because I'm testing out all these milk makers. And once you have one, it's super easy to use and to do it. So pecan milk is what we're making today. And pecan and cashew milk are the easiest milks to make because you don't really need to strain them. There's almost no sediment left when you blend them because they're such soft nuts. And so it's ideal for a blender. It's also ideal for a nut milk maker that doesn't have a grinding cup like the MioMat. And we'll look at that in a minute and take a look. But like the Almond Cow and the Soy Bella both have grinding cups, which can help you skip the nut milk bags and the fine mesh strainers that I prefer to use. But when I'm feeling lazy, I totally just go for cashew and almond milk. It's easy. You can get away with not having soaked them. And they just taste delicious too. So pecan milk may not be on everybody's radar, and I kind of put these out here just because these are some of the things that I've been using to make nut milks. And I love these Kilner jars actually, and I'm looking for more of them because they just kind of stack so well. So here I have some raw cashews. I have some toasted slivered almonds like I used in the nutter to make the candy bar creamer. These are my rolled oats that I use in almost everything. I've got some macadamia nuts. I've got some raw almonds. Raw almonds I usually soak. If you don't want to have as much sediment or things to strain out, then you can just pop them out of their little brown skins or buy blanched almonds. Easy peasy. And pecans tend to be a little more expensive. Cashews tend to be a little more expensive, but they're super easy. So the MioMat, I'm trying to think, I made an Oatly copycat in the MioMat already, but we're gonna take a look at it while we're here anyhow. All right, so you can see we've got different things here. We've got raw milk, cereal milk, soy milk, smoothie, creamy soup, chunky soup, porridge, and cleaning settings. The raw milk setting is the one that we'll probably use. What I want you to be aware of is the raw milk setting on the MioMat does use some heat. It keeps the heat within that raw vegan amount of heat like a dehydrator. But for some things like oats, and we did this with the MioMat, we used the smoothie setting because there's no heat on that. So that's up to you. If you really want it to be raw, use the smoothie setting. Now, with the MioMat, we have this grinding cylinder. Okay, so it's very similar to the Soy Joya, which I don't have. Only this is removable here and it's not removable on it. So whenever we're doing nut milks, we're going to use this, even if we are using a smoothie setting. So if you're doing a smoothie or a soup, usually you're not using this. Pay attention to the MioMat manual. But if you are a milk making fool like I am, then you're probably going to use it. Okay, so this is a very long story for a very short, easy thing. Now, this came in my little bag. It's one of those desiccant packages to keep things dry. I save these for other spice blends. The MioMat comes with this cup. So almost all the milk makers come with some sort of measuring device. A lot of them, like this one, are like one MioMat cup, which can be a little confusing. I thought this was probably about a 1/4 cup, but it's actually a 1/2 cup. And when we we can use 1, or you can go higher and make kind of a thicker, more whole milk to creamer, or you can use less and go to more of like a skim milk texture. So when people don't like the texture of whatever I like, that's how you make it. I prefer like a whole milk kind of texture. I made this with one MioMat cup, which is again about a half a cup. It's a little less. When we made the oat milk, I used 1 real cup, and it was very thick and rich, and it reminded me of full-fat Oatly, but it was twice the amount of MioMat's recipe. So just kind of feel it was too thick for Cheryl. Cheryl didn't love it. I loved it. So I think we're going to put a little bit more, maybe like a cup and a half, which would be about 3/4 of a normal cup. All right. Now, these are raw sprouted pecans because that's what I got. If I wanted this to have more of an earthy, toasty taste, I could go ahead and toast these a little bit, either in a nonstick pan on top of the stove or put them in the oven. You can do that for any of the nuts. That's why I get these from Trader Joe's. They're already blanched, they're toasted, they're not that expensive, and I use those, but you can do that with oats too. Experiment with the flavors that you like and are looking for, if that makes sense. Some people like that toastiness and that extra flavor. Some people want their milks to be more plain and more of a mouthfeel for their coffees or teas. All right, so if we look, if we have this facing us where it says MioMat, over here there's 2 lines. One's 1,100 milliliters, the other one is 1,300 milliliters. So first you want to put your ingredients in, then add your water. And it just needs to be in between those, not less than the minimum, not more than the maximum. It's pretty easy. I'm going for maximum line because I want to go ahead and make a nice big batch. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and I've got this on really well. And under here matches with that. So it's really easy. And then I'm just going to put the cord in here. And I'm going to go ahead and just use the raw milk setting. So I'm going to select that and press start. And we're going to wait, and it's going to heat up some, then it's going to blend, and then it's going to stop for a minute, then it's going to blend. Okay, so we can hear it beeping. We know that it's done. If you want it to stop beeping sooner, just unplug. There you go. And Maxie has not been super happy because this does make, I don't think it's a loud noise, but it goes on for a while. This probably took about 10 minutes-ish because that's one of the things I like about the MioMat over the almond cow. I feel like the almond cow blends 3 times, no heat, and it's kind of done. And so I found myself blending a second time. I feel like the MioMat is super thorough with how it blends and it keeps going. So that's one of the things I really like. Alrighty, let's take a look at our milk. So all I have to do is just pull this up. And some of this is going to drip off. If you leave this grinding cylinder on, it will sit up even on the counter. And I'm just going to put this in a measuring cup to kind of catch anything that's there. We can also kind of do an experiment. This is a little bar strainer that will fit into my funnel. This is actually an almond cow half gallon, I think it's a half-gallon milk container. And I like it a lot. It has like a silicone top so the wood doesn't get all messed up. And I really like this more than I thought I would. So even if you don't get this brand of glass container, you can find them on Amazon, and I like it a lot. So I'm using a funnel because things are going to go a little awry. You can see around here a couple of tiny little pieces, but I thought we'd just filter it out, and that way you can kind of see what we're going with. Now, and remember, I made a thicker milk. I would say that half a cup to the water would make kind of just a regular milk, and this is making more of full milk. I will also say, and I'm just kind of, because this is only as big as it is, I don't want to go too far, it will spin over. So I can tell there is some sediment. Normally I just don't even bother with this, but since we're talking about it, I do. With a fine mesh strainer, a larger one or a smaller one, all you need to do is take a spatula, basically move the sediment around. That's how it's going to get through. And still, I mean, there's very, very little so far. We're not to the bottom, and to me it's the bottom where really most of it lives, although it doesn't seem too terribly bad here. Now, I will also say, because it's so thorough, the MioMat takes longer, but it's not hands-on time. In fact, even while I was filming this video, I went over and read my email. And you could also just say, oh, I'm going to sit down and read a book or enjoy the outside or something like that. So see how little there is? And now we can save this. This is so tiny. What I would probably do is put it in the freezer like this until I got more, and we can make pecan flour with it. Or we could include it in dog treats. We can make cookies with it. Pecan flour is really, really pretty expensive. And there's a tiny bit of sediment that came all the way through, but I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just going to set these to the side. So one of the things that I like about this jug too, it's because it's hot, it's trying to pop out, is that I really can shake it good. I've even turned it upside down and not had anything come out of it. So I would recommend, if you get something like this, something with a silicone cap. If it's wood, would be really important. I haven't had this that long. I know you can buy replacement caps. If the wood gets too wet, it is going to split eventually. I find that this should last 3 to 5 days easily. This pecan milk, it smells just like a pecan. So a pecan is kind of woody and dark, and if you love going to Starbucks and getting yourself like a toffee nut something or a hazelnut coffee, this adds that really wonderful flavor. I like to put it into cold brew coffee with just a little bit of maple syrup, though some date caramel would be amazing in it as well. So that's pretty much my whole spiel on pecan milk. It's easy, depending on which nut milk maker you're using. So if you were using a blender, I would probably use about 3/4 of a cup to a cup per 4 to 5 cups of water. And again, the reason I'm not telling you an exact measurement, even though there's going to be a recipe with an exact measurement, is try it. And if this was too thick for me, all I need to do is put some water in here and shake it up. So if you make it too thick, all is not lost. If you make it too thin, all is not lost either. I could put this back into my nut milk maker or into the blender, add some more pecans, and let it go again. So there is no losing in this situation. So I would say, if you're really not wanting to strain things, and like I said, usually I don't even strain this out. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we were looking at. With cashews and pecans, most of the time, unless you're very sensitive, you can skip the straining altogether. The two nut milk makers that kind of have kind of strain it out for you, they have these grinding cylinders. So instead of this being like a grinding cylinder, I guess a grinding cup that has like a filter system in it. So that would be the Soy Bella, which has heating elements, or the Almond Cow, which does not have heating elements. So there's no one right answer. I can't just say, hey, everybody, buy this one milk maker. It depends on how often you want to make milk. If you just want to make milk once a week, a larger one like the MioMat or the Almond Cow is probably pretty good for you. If you want to make fresh milks every day, a smaller one like a Nutter or Chimera or something like that is going to be really good. I'm going to be getting the Nutri-Milk soon and demo it, and it's different than all of these. It actually makes nut butter and then makes milk from the nut butter. So I'm assuming that it's kind of making something like Joy, J-O-I, milk concentrate, otherwise known as finely ground nut butter. So stay tuned for more reviews. If there is a certain milk or creamer recipe that you're looking for, go ahead and put it in the comments and I'll see what I can do, because I'm going to be making a lot of these plant-based milk maker videos. So tell me what your favorites are and tell me any issues that you've had with milk makers you have. Have an amazing rest of your day.